Just realized it's a weird way to hold this cup, but whatever. I like to apologize for me, like, glowing, like you can't really see part of my body because it's so bright, and 2, because I am a hobo right now, and the reason for that is because I had to dress up for a group presentation earlier, and the second I got back, took all that off. So, speaking of group presentations, this is exactly what we're talking about, as you can probably already tell by the title. If not, I don't know how you overlook that. But I made a list. So without further ado, these are the things that you should not do in group presentations. 1, don't come to class unprepared for your own group's presentation. You will make the rest of them, but mainly yourself, look like idiots who don't know what they're doing. Don't do it. It's annoying. 2, don't use vocal fillers like and like. Please don't do it. If you lost your train of thought, just pause, recollect, and begin again. Pausing for effect, it works. 3, don't swear. Today, in one of the presentations, and this same guy is basically the one I'm talking about in 90% of these. Not basically. He is the guy I'm talking about in 90% of these. He started off the presentation by saying something along the lines of, alright, without further ado, we will be talking about blah blah blah, and I'm going to go as quickly as I can so that we can get the hell out of here. That's how he started off the presentation. Not a good thing to do when you're in college. Not a good thing to do when you're giving any sort of presentation. The next one, he is also guilty of. Don't claim you don't know something that is in your presentation that you should in fact know because you made the presentation on it. Or maybe you didn't. Don't do that. Literally, in his presentation, multiple times, he said, I didn't know that. Did you guys know that? You're supposed to be, like, educating us on the topic. So shouldn't you know it? You know, novel 5, you should know what you're presenting about. 5, don't interrupt other members of your own group, or any other group for that matter, but especially not your own group. This is really flimsy. Anyways, don't do that. And last but certainly not least, don't be a D-bag. That's exactly what it says. Don't be a D-bag. As a subpoint, by asking other groups questions where you reference your own research and try to make the other person giving the presentation look like an idiot. So we were giving a presentation, the overfishing problem that we have with Atlantic bluefin tuna. And after our presentation, we were waiting to put up our other part of the presentation, which was a Twitter page, which you can follow. The Twitter handle is BlueFTuna. Do it. You won't regret it. It's a good one. So while we were getting that up, a member of our group said, does anyone have any questions? So this one guy said, you're talking about the Atlantic bluefin tuna, but you mentioned the Japanese consumption of tuna, which would be the Pacific bluefin tuna. And there's a guy in our group who's the one who came up with the idea for what we wanted to research. And I was thinking in my head, I'm like, it's gonna hit the fan real quick. So he, like, really respectfully was like, you know, that's a great question. That makes a lot of sense. You know, like, why you would think that they consume a lot of Pacific bluefin tuna when actually they do consume a lot of Atlantic bluefin tuna. And so, like, he went on this really, really lengthy description, basically being like, shove this in your pipe and smoke it, Mr. Grumpy Gills, because you're wrong. It was funny because the kid, when he said, in my own research that I did about a year ago, and a member of my group was like, yeah, in your own research, you're like high school, like, research, going on Wikipedia and looking at stuff. When actually the guy in my group is very, very, very educated on it, and he actually lived in Japan for a year, so he actually knows more about Japanese consumption of tuna. So, I mean, it was ridiculous. Just to recap, don't come to a group presentation day unprepared. Know what you're doing. Don't use vocal fillers like and like. Do not swear during a presentation. Don't claim you don't know something that you should know because you're presenting on it. Don't interrupt other members of your own group as well as other groups. And don't be a D-bag. And with all of those tips, I think you should be just fine in giving a tolerable group presentation. I hope that the next time you guys have a group presentation that you won't be nervous, that you'll just follow my tips on what not to do, and if you avert those things, you should be just fine. Everyone will love you, and you'll give a stellar group presentation. I promise you.